Massachusetts voters said yes to legalized marijuana 14 months ago. But as of last week, the industry's future is looking a lot hazier. As you've likely heard, Attorney General Jeff Sessions has decided to end an Obama-era policy which effectively told federal law enforcement officials to leave alone states that have legalized the substance. Marijuana is, in fact, still illegal on the federal level, so Sessions' move is well within his purview, but it could be a serious game changer for Massachusetts and 7 other states, plus D.C., which have legalized recreational pot in roughly half the states that allow medical marijuana. Yesterday, U.S. Attorney for Boston, Andrew Lelling, he's new, released a statement saying, quote, "I cannot provide assurances that certain categories of participants in the state-level marijuana trade will be immune from federal prosecution. Congress has unambiguously made it a federal crime to cultivate, distribute, and or possess marijuana. As a law enforcement officer, I must proceed on a case-by-case basis, assessing each matter according to those principles and deciding whether to use limited federal resources to pursue it." In response, after taking Jeff Sessions to task several days ago, saying he had made, quote, "the wrong decision," Governor Charlie Baker, who was opposed to legalization when it was on the ballot, suggested Lelling use those, quote, "limited federal resources" elsewhere.
I think the big message to the U.S. Attorney's Office should be, if you have limited resources, let's focus on the thing that's killing people here every day in the Commonwealth, which is street drugs and fentanyl.
Joining me now is the head of the group in charge of implementing the voter-approved marijuana law in our state, Cannabis Control Commission Chair Stephen Hoffman. We also invited Andrew Lelling, but his office told us he's not doing interviews at this moment. Commissioner, it's good to see you. Chairman, it's good to see you.
Thank you.
What's your reaction when you heard what the Attorney General and the U.S. Attorney here has had to say?
My reaction was I'm not surprised. It doesn't change anything in terms of the job that we committed to do when we accepted our appointments as a commission. So I'm not surprised, but we're just keeping on.
When you say not surprised, I'm surprised to hear you say not surprised. Here's Donald Trump, candidate right. Trump, in a rally in Nevada in October of 2015. Here's the candidate.
The marijuana thing is such a big thing. I think medical should happen, right? Don't we agree? I mean, I think so. And then I really believe you should leave it up to the states. It should be a state situation.
I mean, it's a states' rights party. And do you not, I know you're not a politician.
Correct.
But having said that, you're a voter in the state.
Yes.
Do you think it's fair to say that people in the state voted in part, some part, based on a representation by the candidate that this is his policy?
Sure, I assume people voted based upon everything they heard from both candidates. I just know what Sessions has said in the past about this drug, and therefore it didn't surprise me that he came out with his statement rescinding the Cole memorandum.
Have you reached out to, and Cole is a former deputy U.S. Attorney General who
right.
issued this thing several years ago.
Correct.
Have you reached out to the U.S. Attorney Lelling about this thing at all?
No, we have not.
How do you operate when he says, I just read this, on a case-by-case basis? Right. How does that work? I know prosecutorial discretion is the way of the world, but how do you operate? This one's legal, this one isn't legal, and how does that work?
I can't speculate on how he's going to behave. What I can say is that we're going to create a regulatory framework, we're going to enforce it, and we're going to do everything we can to make it safe and legal and accessible in the state. What other people are going to do, I can't speculate on.
Well, but let me speculate on it.
That's your job.
So
right?
someone comes to you as and your colleagues on
yes.
this commission and says, I'm thinking of spending millions of dollars
right.
to get this going. It's a legal industry in the state, at least I thought it was. Can you guarantee me that I'm not going to be criminally prosecuted for opening this?
No, I can't.
So why should I spend $1,
That's
Chairman?
Your decision based upon your evaluation of the risks and return. But I can't make that decision for you, nor can I speculate on how you'll make that decision.
Okay, I'm the president of a bank.
Yes.
What I thought was that legal marijuana dispensary wants to deposit their money in my bank. Can you guarantee me that I'm not going to be prosecuted as a bank for doing this?
I cannot.
So I understand. I read your statement. Our mission and work not change. You pretty much said the same thing you're making.
I'm going to say it as many times as you give me the opportunity for.
I love the consistency. But I mean, as a practical matter, who's going to be crazy enough to go ahead with this when there's this sword of Damocles, for lack of a better expression, hanging over their head?
No, I appreciate that. As I said, I can't and won't speculate on how other people are going to behave. They're going to evaluate the risks and returns and make informed decisions. But I can't speculate on what those decisions are going to be. All I can do is say, here is the framework that you can operate under the law passed by the voters in the legislature and signed by the governor of the state of Massachusetts. That's all we can do as a commission.
And will you give them a name of a few good criminal defense attorneys?
After I get one for myself.
So can we return to those thrilling days of yesteryear
Sure.
when you were a pretty successful business guy? Someone goes to you 6 months ago and says, I want you to invest in a recreational marijuana facility in a prime location. You probably say, I'll seriously consider that.
Probably.
Okay, someone goes to you today.
You know, of course, that I'm no longer allowed to invest in it.
I know, but someone goes to you today. I mean, you really do have to be.
It's a different calculation. There's no question about it. There's a different calculation in terms of what the risks are, no question. But there's also a different calculation in terms of what the returns are. You know, because fewer people potentially will enter the business, therefore the potential returns are greater. And as an investor, I would do a risk-return evaluation, which I suspect most of the people that are thinking about entering this business will do.
But with no guarantees to banks, no guarantees to.
I can't provide that.
Do you think this is there's blue state targeting here? I looked at the list of states, and while there is a Nevada that is legalized, which has a Republican governor, Sandoval,
we have a Republican governor here.
Well, we do, but a Republican governor who's not been terribly crazy about
he
Donald
voted against
Trump,
so that's correct.
You know, didn't vote for anybody. In the do you think this is blue state targeting here? You don't know.
I won't speculate on that.
What are you thinking that you're not willing to say?
What am I thinking? I'm thinking that, you know, my brother-in-law sent me a text after Sessions' announcement last week, and he said, you have the most interesting job in the world. That's what
I think your brother-in-law knows what he's talking about.
That's what I'm thinking.
Let's talk about, you know, before Jeff Sessions rudely interrupted what you were up to.
Well, I don't think he has, but go ahead.
Well, I think he has, but it's fine. You're the commission chair. I'm not. So draft regulations have been promulgated, issue, whatever the verb is.
By the end of December, yes.
Is July 1st still the target date for opening these things?
Yeah, we're on track. So, you know, the next several months are public hearings on our draft regulations, finalization of those regulations March 15th, accepting applications April 1st, approving applications starting June 1st, and then stores opening on July 1st. That's our target. We're still committed to that.
I haven't read all of it. I've read summaries of this, so can I ask you a really quick series of questions? Home deliveries, is that yes or no?
Home deliveries for licensed retailers is a yes.
What'd you do about edibles? I know you're really concerned about the packaging vis-a-vis kids. What'd you do about that?
What we did, we put some potency restrictions on them. We put some very restrictive packaging restrictions and labeling restrictions. We also want pre-approval before anything is sold so that it is not something that appeals to minors or people under 21.
I heard yoga studios and movie theaters. Is that true?
Yeah, we approved a license category for ancillary businesses. So as opposed to a retailer whose primary business is selling marijuana product, an ancillary business is a business that doesn't have marijuana as its primary product, but thinks by selling marijuana it would enhance the services they were offering, and we approved that category of licenses.
How about the issue that was raised by a lot of people of color about the disproportionate impact issue of the law that existed prior to legalization? What are you doing about that in those communities?
So it is a mandatory requirement of the legislation that we ensure that those communities participate fully in this industry. The legislature, in their wisdom, told us we had to do that, but didn't define what a disproportionately impacted community was. So we've done some research. We had a meeting today, a public meeting today, where we agreed on these are the communities that are disproportionately impacted or have been. And for those communities, we're going to provide early access to licenses. We're going to provide them with training. We're going to lower some of the application and license fees to encourage them to participate in this new industry that we're creating.
So one more time, Sessions or not, July 1st is the date.
July 1st is the target date.
I don't know if anyone ever told you this. You have one of the most interesting jobs anywhere. Nice to see you, Mr. Chair. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.